G'day, Mick.
How are you, buddy? Good.
Very good. Welcome to the Commons, a co-working space here in Richmond. Yep. I've just signed up for in the podcast room, first time, and got the greatest.
It's a great concept, isn't it? So the Commons, for those people watching, it's a common area for people to come that don't want a full-time office.
Yep.
They just want to come in, utilise the space when they need it. So it's a bit of a cash cow for the Commons, I think, because there's a few people in here and they're paying the dollars.
That's it. It's a great little community. I've been here for a week and a half, and big shout out to Dommy Tyson, who's running around.
Your personal assistant, Dom Tyson.
He's actually running around here just talking to us. But mate, he's introduced us here, and we're going to be doing Tommy talks and a lot of podcasts with yourself, and many others in this room.
Just before we go off the Commons, it's like a library when you walk in. Okay, so it's quite like it is quiet. And people are working, and then Tommy being Tommy, you walk in, and I sat at reception, I'm just here to see Tommy Sheridan. And then she goes, "Oh, Tommy," roll of the eyes. There was a legit roll of the eyes. And then I saw you swanning around in the common area there anyway, and heard you. And she goes, "Oh, I can call him too." I said, Don't worry, doll. I can see him and I can hear him. He's making an absolute goose of himself, and she just waved me through.
I need a noise cancelling room, little co-working space with noise cancellers.
Oh, goodness gracious.
It's
You're making an impact here at the Commons.
I have. There's been a few people float through, but they're very good. Annabelle and the girls at the front, superstars, and it's great to be here. And now we can do more podcasts. And like I said last week, we did the Super Bowl preview, and today is all about the.
How'd your picks go?
Yeah, pretty good. Everything I said was good, except I let the punters down.
The game of fate, isn't it?
With my best bet, which was Odell Beckham, 64 yards, a touchdown, and Rams.
Look at the hurt.
Oh, it hurt. I love him, so it hurt me. It hit me when we'll talk about the game when we go through it, and when it get to that point, I'll tell you how the pub went, because. Everyone was on it. Everyone was on Dabble riding. Everyone was riding the train's tips.
It's beautiful, isn't it? The world we live in. And I'm privileged, Tom, to be here and to rewind and go through the Super Bowl. Now, full disclosure, I have a full-time job. So Mondays, the common man works. So looking forward to you leading the discussion about the Super Bowl. But I saw enough of it, and I do work in a very good job where I do have some flexibility to be able to turn the TV on and I coach a football side. So it actually is a tax-deductible time to watch and see how these great coaches like Sean McVay go about it.
Who's older? Are you older than him?
Sean McVay is 36.
How old are you now?
I was going to do my hair like Sean McVay.
He's incredibly young though, isn't he? Like, do you think, how old are you now?
34.
34. So, he's 2 years older than you. You only just finished playing footy, it feels like, the other year. It's incredible what he's just done.
Sean McVay is... And the nature of the NFL is that players do play, like the Tom Brady situation. He plays till his mid-40s. But so many of Sean McVay's players are older than him. Whitworth, all that. So that there does come a fair bit of I suppose there would be a little bit of anxiety, I'd imagine, in those roles, but you'd have to quickly get rid of that. Across 10 years of coaching before you get that head opportunity. So he started, and it's a well-documented story, isn't it? Started out when he was young 20s, when he knew he couldn't play, when he wasn't going to make it at the highest level. He started to be the towel boy and work his way through the office and gets his opportunity. And he's a great story of success and resilience in terms of was soundly beaten a few years ago, comes back, identifies what he's done wrong. Didn't call a perfect game, from my understanding and my knowledge of the game, but got the result.
You're right, and they threw the kitchen sink. Let's start with the Rams. Goff plays. They go to a Super Bowl. Tom Brady beats them. Low-scoring game. Defense is brilliant. 2 years on, I think it's 2 years, wherever we are now, though, they've wiped Goff. They get Stafford in. They've got Ramsey in. They've got...
Former Jag.
Yeah, Rams. Former Jag. They've paid him a heap, right? They get OBJ mid-season. They get Von Miller. I feel like I'm forgetting someone.
The farm has been sold.
They get everyone. They throw all their draft picks. And this is something we don't see in AFL,
They haven't
right?
got a first-round draft pick until when? 2026?
2026 or something. They've just said, you know what? Get rid of every pick and give me experience, which is something that I think needs to happen more. But this is a real ballsy play. They've done everything. From a business strategy point of view, it's just perfectly done, hasn't it? It's worked out. It's worked out exactly how you'd imagine when you throw the kitchen sink money ball at 2021-22.
Well, absolutely. Well, they got the result. You're there to win premiership, Super Bowls, whatever league you're talking about. They talk so often, if we refer to it, I know we're on the Oz American Aces here, so there is an Australian element in terms of referring it back to the game we know well, AFL. And so many people talk about Tom Boyd and how much money the doggies paid him. He stood up on that one day, the $7 million contract or whatever it was worth it for that.
Yeah.
And the Rams are living that experience. They lived the experience in 2020 Super Bowl. When was it? 1920. Anyway, when they went there last time and lost to New England, and they identified, the elephant in the room was Jared Goff isn't our man, and he's getting paid well, Jared, at Detroit, the $50 million or $100 million contract. So to bring Stafford in and surround him with those weapons, of which it didn't all go to plan. So we know Robert Woods has been there for some time. Went down. They brought in OBJ. Higbee went down. In the championship game, so didn't even play. So they faced a fair share of adversity.
Well, even Akers did his Achilles in pre-season. They've obviously got Sony Michel and even Henderson, who was actually made a huge impact.
Here's one for you.
Receiving. He was huge, to be honest, because he added a bit of value that I don't reckon the Bengals prepared for as a receiver. And he caught a lot of us off guard at the start.
What about this? LA, La La Land. You been there?
Yeah, one of the greatest places in the world.
Yeah, up in the hills there with Ryan Crowley at the $5,000 a week Airbnb on one of those footy trips when we used to get paid an exorbitant amount of money to play football. So LA Rams. If this is the St. Louis Rams, and this might be a stupid question, but if it's the St. Louis Rams and it doesn't have the glitz and the glamour to it, does this story eventuate?
Well, it's not as sexy, let's be honest. Like, you've only got to look around, and we're going to go through the game in depth in a minute. And when I say in depth, we're going to pick out favourite parts and more entertaining parts. We're not analysts, but no, it wouldn't. And LA, you got LeBron James dancing at halftime. He's good mates with OBJ. For all the, there's a lot of Shaq's putting his tongue out.
Shaq did your move.
But Shaq's it's the Fisher. And they actually messaged on Instagram. It's pretty funny. But mate, the crowd's packed, and everyone in the world wants to be there. The entertainment's incredible. No, there's no bigger stage in LA this year. New stadium.
So answer the question: yes or no? If they're the St. Louis Rams, still.
Well, it's not as. But
does Jalen Ramsey initially want to go play there? Like, that was a big thing. He was at the Jags, and
I don't know. I can't answer that question, Mick. I'll sit on the fence. No, he probably does. No one wants to go to a shit area. They want to go to a big club, right? A good club, and they want to win. Main thing's winning. If St. Louis Rams are going to win, then they would. I would. You would, wouldn't you?
I went to the Gold Coast.
Yeah, if they were going to win, would you? Yeah.
Anyway, that's great stuff. And
it's a good question, but
it's the whole theatre behind home Super Bowl and that stadium.
That's 2 from 2. It's never happened in the history, and now it's guess who's got it next year?
Arizona,
and they failed miserably against the Rams.
What's going on with Kyler Murray? It's the.
I think it's a bit of.
It's a bit of better.
Yeah, it's a bit of mayonnaise. I think a lot of players are starting to do it. Whether it's a PR stunt.
That's what I read. Yeah.
To get your cash up, to get people in the doors that you might want to support you.
Would have that worked in our day there at Freeman?
Well, I don't think.
Luke Morfesta, media manager.
Yeah.
Says, mate, what you just follow him back up or
unfollow.
And Ross kind of wouldn't have been able to wrap his melon around it.
It's a different setup.
Happened pretty quickly, this bloody modern era. That
Well, the thing is, though, Mick, when you're an absolute fringe spud like myself, you've got no impact. Now, maybe if you were the skipper, right? Imagine the skipper of any club doing this, that would cause a bit of an issue, and people would notice when you unfollow and delete all your photos. But anyway, it is what it is, and next year the Cards, I think I've got to get there.
Desert.
I think I've got to get there. And then I think Vegas is the year after. Is that the talk in our fantasy group? Is we'll get there for that?
My father-in-law to be and brother-in-law to be are going to that, and they were pretty excited. Like, we went to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, and I looked at them. I'm a bit of a realist. I said, how many other Australians do you reckon have that idea that they're going to just go to the Las Vegas Super Bowl? And just
what a ticket!
I would rather go. This is me personally. I'd rather go, the off-Broadway ones.
You reckon?
Yeah. Arizona, I think, would be. I've never been there. Different experience. I've been to Las Vegas a couple of times.
But the weather, man. I had a bloke send me Oh, doesn't it ever? I had a mate send me a selfie on Instagram in the Rixies in the pool at Vegas watching the game. Like, imagine just being there for the game, and then the next day. No, it wasn't Dex. I think Dex. I don't even know if Dex watches them, but it's a different setup in Vegas. I think everyone will be there. The ticket prices will be interesting.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But anyway, let's get into this game. I've got some notes, some key things. But look, how'd you find? Who was your prediction, and how'd you find the game going?
I thought the Rams were going to win easily.
Yeah, and why?
I just thought they were. There's a bit of me that says these matches come, and the Bengals have been on a high for so long. You got to remember the Bengals went 10-7, so they're a side that had hit a bit of a run of form, and how often does that run of form get to the climax and just doesn't hit its peak? So, I saw the Rams as having all the weapons on offense in particular, and the acquisition of Von Miller to complement Aaron Donald throughout the year was going to be scary for that offensive line of Cincinnati, which in the end, it wasn't quite a million paper cuts, because 9 sacks or 8 sacks, whatever Joe Burrow went down for. They're not paper cuts; they're hits that eventually wear him down to the point where you find out afterwards he does a PCL and would be out for 6 to 8 weeks and couldn't run. So a few openings throughout the back end of that game he couldn't actually access. So it restricted exactly what he could do at his absolute peak. So I was blown away by the fact that the Bengals could actually just stay in there and actually led the Super Bowl with 1:45 to go. I was predicting kind of a 27-10 Rams operation, and in the end, Joey B and the boys almost snatched it.
I thought the same. I thought I was hoping for a shootout, and to be honest, everything I wanted and everything I predicted, I'm going to literally say it. My predictions was OBJ to go off.
So first touchdown,
check, tick.
And he was on. He was
just, mate. He had 50 yards.
Ultimate confidence player as well. A lot of wide receivers are
ultimate, but you got to understand how good Cup is, and as you know, they're going to put everything at him. They're going to be like, we need to stop him, and then we need everyone else to do their role, right? But OBJ in the first quarter, it was just and half lighting it up, Mick. He had 50-something yards, and there's about 3 or 4 minutes to go before, out of nowhere, bang, ACL. And at that point, the Rams, I think, would have scored on that drive, and that's when the game would have started to go to look towards that scoreline you said, maybe even more points.
Yeah.
But when that happened, I thought the Rams were done.
I listened to a fair bit of NFL content, and I was a bit the same. But then you do one of my favourite platforms, the GM Shuffle. I listened to that quite a bit, and they were saying, the commentary was saying, where are they going to get their scores from now that OBJ is down? And they've got no Robert Woods, but at the end of the day, they've got Cooper Kupp, and Van Jefferson is a very, very handy wide receiver as well, who didn't really get going. He also had a wife in labour
at the end of the game. It's incredible video.
So he's had a fair day, second child I think in a Super Bowl, but Cooper Kupp is third in the MVP, so he is going to provide a threat, as he did. And again, the X's and the O's is something I'm very, very limited in NFL. But that last play with Eli Apple 1 out, what's the go there? Surely they're overloading Kupp side and say, let something else beat you. The old Ross Lyonism, don't let what you know beat you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just think you can't stop Cup. They might be thinking protect the middle, and then he goes out and Eli gets done, which we'll talk about Eli. While we're going to OBJ when he went down, and then all of a sudden after the half, we'll talk about after half time. But Eli, what are your thoughts on a bloke? Like, he's literally chirping all the Chiefs boys who have already won one.
I thought it went back the other way, didn't it?
Was it? Yeah.
You talked to me about.
Well, Mick, I think you need to understand what's happened here. He's chirping players as he's going through every week, right?
Oh, right.
So everyone, and he's chirped a lot of players in his time. So don't worry, they've all sat on it. And if you see by the internet, they have ruined this bloke's head. Yeah. And he sounds like he loves it, because I've just seen a thing today where he said, "This is burning you. There's more fuel to the fire. I can't wait to come back bigger. This is going to make me stronger." All that kind of stuff. So can't wait to see him next year. But he's given Tyreek Hill and McCall Hardman the old hit me up, I'll get you some Super Bowl tickets last week. So the boys have held on to that.
Is there any element of banter in that, or is this
No, this is very, well, from what I'm seeing, animosity. You can see it because he stopped Tyreek Hill before the half when they played, and it became a pivotal play, and then that's when the chirp become, and then you see Tyreek Hill on Twitter goes, "Mate, you got my digits, just call me." He goes
could be banter, you never know.
I don't, well, it could be, but
in the modern world, it's NFL, where they jump from club to club every week.
Yeah, I don't know, Mick.
Eli Apple or someone from that Chiefs inner sanctum, they'll end up in the same locker room at some point.
They might, but I don't think
they'd quickly become brothers.
They do. And I'm sure what it's like when you see someone that you might hate him, but then you get to know him and you love him. But I'm telling you, the commentary around the league, looking at all the stuff I've seen, it's not that positive, right? But what I find fascinating is he's got the balls to say, which is probably the belief they had in the group. He's like, "You want tickets? We're going to win, blah, blah, blah." But then you go game day. Cooper Kupp has absolutely lit this bloke up. Last play of the day is on him. And then, have you seen what the boys were doing? McCall Hardman was sending him videos of the ring saying, "You'll never get one of these."
I haven't seen
That's
that.
what happens when you put yourself out there like that. I just don't think...
Yeah.
Does that help?
No, it helps. It helps us watch. It helps the brand of the NFL.
It is great, isn't it?
It will build the anticipation for next season, if and when Cincinnati play Kansas City. But even Eli Apple will now become, like a country like Australia, we just become fascinated with these storylines. So Eli Apple, I don't think he'll sit there with a huge amount of apprehension to next season. They are built differently, those particular athletes, about the way they prepare and go about it. So I love the subplot. I haven't seen the full situation of it, but what ended up happening with Eli Apple's mum, she came in as well, didn't she?
I haven't seen that.
So, we'll have to maybe have a look into that.
You need to get some more information on that before you bring that one up.
No, she's had a bit of a go back and pretty much said, like most mothers do, parents of kids.
Are you talking game day or online?
Once you may have been playing, may have been in the reserves, not sure. We're playing Sydney.
I didn't play reserves.
Playing Sydney and Sydney.
Definitely was in the reserves. I'd never played Sydney.
Drawn game.
At Sydney.
Drawn game. Okay, so you didn't play?
No, I wasn't there. I was watching.
And I think I might have mucked up a couple of times or whatever, and my mum and dad had made the trip from Victoria to watch the game, and they'd heard in the background these two kind of middle-aged men saying, "Geez, he's a shit kick." He always has. And apparently it happened a few times. And Matt DeBoer's parents were in town. They were sitting with mum and dad as well. And I think it might have been Ron DeBoer who turned around and said to these two middle-aged men, "That's his mother just there." And then mum was like, "Yeah, but I agree. He's got to sharpen up his ball." Oh. But, parents sticking up for sons. So I fairly confident that Eli Apple, Mrs. Apple...
Hang on, just go back. Did your mum give it a little bit back, or she just take it?
I think she took it, because they were fairly apologetic once Ron DeBoer said, "That's his mother and father just there."
Yeah.
And
it's funny.
Oh no, but we love him.
Yeah. It's funny you say. I went to New York. Speaking of Dex, he got his tickets. He wasn't playing, and
Dex is Eric Decker.
Yeah. Everyone from Tommy Talks knows that, because he's one of the greatest, friends of ours that plays.
Great jawline, doesn't he?
Goes like Rooster. He's a good looking rooster, Dex. He got me tickets, but why I say this is, Fitzmagic was playing for the Jets, and we're in town, and he just threw 7 picks the week before. 7. Okay, and I love the way he plays. So, but it's 7. Just have you seen it before? Probably not.
7 if you had him as fantasy starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Well,
he got dropped. It was huge. New York press is ridiculous. And I noticed it when I was there because I get a coffee and you see the papers, and it was all about him and how he should be, whatever. Anyway, the backup, I can't remember his name, but he comes up, so he starts. He goes down with an early injury. I'm sitting behind Fitz's parents, and I remember it, and I was like, because we could see, and like they were talking about
booze. Was it that
MetLife? Yeah, MetLife. And when he come on the field, there was all these boos, and I was watching, and it was so uncomfortable because I knew I kind of knew. Well, I didn't know. I don't have kids, but I just felt very uncomfortable. But I was, never been more like, come on, get it done. Yeah. And he actually played really well, and it was so good to see. But I was watching like that. He would throw a touchdown, and his parents would be like, oh, it's like, oh, yes.
Anxiety.
And being a parent, it must be so hard watching your kids play professional sport with the crowd around, because you almost just got to cop it. It's a part of the gig.
Yeah.
Because it goes both ways. They're pumping you up all the time.
Yeah,
but if you
that is the one, isn't it? You got to accept that. And there's a bit going on at the moment, I suppose, with this. We've jumped around a bit. We covered a few different places, and I suppose even more recently there was what's her name? Isabel Westbury. She's the cricket commentator from England. She's an English cricket commentator, and she was quite critical in some of the tactics and some of the performances from the recent Australian-England women's cricket.
Yep.
And there was a bit of and the internet and Twitter and media. That's hard work because it is toxic.
Yeah.
The kind of feedback she got, so like, you can't be that critical. But
what you do?
At the same time, she was very strong on. No, athletes accept praise, and they've got to be able to accept, especially when we're trying to equalise this, male-female existence in the sporting landscape. So, it's not going anywhere. This ability just to, at a click of a finger, you can be very, very critical of athletes. More probably 2 or 3 times over when we finished, only 2 or 3 years ago. It's now.
Why I said this the other day, Tom Brady, LeBron James, there's heaps out there. I think I'm built differently as well. I lean more positive. Like, I love the guns. Even Ben Simmons' recent stuff. Everyone wants to crack on him about that last pass he had. I don't want to talk about it because I think he's a superstar, and so do most people. But people just love the negative story. I don't understand why. You're in the space. You've done more media. Why do people lean? I know it gets. Why do people open up articles that's more negative than positive? I don't understand it.
Well, yeah, the media scrum, the media people, the media, of which I'm a part of.
Why do you look for that? But why do you look for that? Like, why is there not more people looking for great stories?
I know for a fact I do an article for the West Australian every week in the footy season. And I think my most clicked article was when I predicted Freo to finish last a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just my opinion. I think my overall opinion was 6 or 7 teams could finish on the bottom, and there's a bit of a clump of teams. But the clickbait goes towards, the Fremantle put in that discussion form of
Fremantle player says Fremantle finished last.
Yeah, a bit of twisted, got sacked, all that stuff.
And does that, as a journo, do you go, they're going to come bottom 8, 6? I'll say last because it will click.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Yeah. Oh, not the problem, and I guess that's the reason why people keep.
Now I'm into my 3rd year as a contracted journalist.
Now you're an experienced journo. I'd love some positive stories, but it's
Freo to win the premiership.
Yeah, I think everyone's so critical. I love. I mean, you got to be critical when you're an analyst.
The short answer is that. I think it's the way people are wired, and we gravitate towards controversy.
Yeah,
especially in a day and age where news is so accessible. You don't have to wait 24 hours till tomorrow's paper.
No,
and there's not just. John Ralph isn't the only person that's writing an article. Everyone's a journalist.
Yeah, they are.
Blogs, there's bloody podcasts. There is anything and everything out there. There's Facebook pages with every sporting club that has their team, and anyone can comment. You can become a top fan. That's a big deal to some people. So, she's a whirlwind out there, Trano. But let's get back, straighten right up. and get back to SoFi Stadium.
Back to the bowl. Ask me some questions, Mick, and I'll give you the answers.
So your prediction was Rams comfortably.
Not comfortably. Head was Rams. My gut was like, this could go down the wire because I did my research and it was, Bengals hadn't been blown out more than 3 or 4 points, I think, for the last however many weeks. They do have Joe Burrow, who is built differently. I believe their offense could get them in any situation. Mixon, Higgins, Boyd in the slot.
Yeah.
You got Chase, who's just the biggest superstar ever. I knew that they'd be in the game. And I knew that it wouldn't be a blowout, but I knew Aaron Donald would run an absolute muck against that O-line. So I was actually quite confused going in, but really excited. And the one thing I knew going into the game, as an absolute NFL fan, no analyst, but I knew that a lot of attention was going to go to Chase and Kupp. Yeah. So I was very confident that Higgins and OBJ would get more market share because guess what? Both tight ends from both teams, Higbee, Azuma, I think that's how you say it, they were both out. Even though he played, he was like he should
have been out for 6 weeks.
Exactly. He played, but I don't think he did anything but block. He had a couple of catches actually, so credit where credit's due. It's an amazing effort because he went off on a stretcher last week or 2 weeks ago. So I knew that was going to happen.
Toughen up a bit. So
player-wise, boom. Right? So I had the opportunity on Dabble, which we give him a shout out, to put my specials. And I said, if Bengals win, Higgins explodes, which he did. They didn't win. And the other one was OBJ will explode. Not really, like 64 yards. He did that in the first half. Yeah. And then he unfortunately went down. And then what happened, and this is why I was really flat, not only because I love OBJ, and now he's out for however long with his second ACL. It ruined the game of offense a bit because Rams had to continue to play D. But Bengals knew that, when they were up, they were just trying to wind they were running play. They were doing, like, Mixon got more carries.
It's really become like that. That's a little bit, and again, can be very critical, more critical than positive in these situations. It was a great game, came down to a 3-pointer, but it didn't feel like there wasn't a huge, especially the second half. Definitely felt Cincinnati just managed, and they become pros at managing situations. So
managing the
we've
clock.
got a league, and from 10 minutes out in the last quarter, they know how to make sure with 2 minutes to go, they're 3 points up with the ball, which they did, but then obviously give the opportunity for that last drive for Matt Stafford and the Rams. So,
that's why.
I looked at the Jags, my guys, the Jacksonville Jags. They put up an Instagram post today about their coaching structure. They've got like 30 coaches.
Yeah,
so they've got 30 people managing this game to make sure, analytics and all that. I just think a little bit of the gloss in terms of that raw, just if you're watching the Super Bowl, that one game a year, the Super Bowl, it was a close game. It came down to the end, but it was more of a tactical.
It's a chess game.
Game announced towards the back
But that's
end.
why, after half-time, Higgins, 75-yard touchdown on Ramsey, maybe flag, maybe not. I love it when they don't pull the flags out. Just let the boys play, okay? Even though the flag come out late, we'll talk about that one in a second. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, bang, Joe Burrow just goes, and then now the whole game's flipped. Rams are on the back foot. They got no OBJ.
I must have been watching the halftime show and thought, I'm fired up now. First half, he was a little bit.
I think the punter was, and he's a guru, that punter.
Yeah. Have you heard the Ben Graham story?
I have. I've interviewed him on Tommy Talks, mate. Come on, everyone has. Everyone out there that hasn't heard of it, just get on Tommy Talks.
He's told a few people that, has he? Yeah.
It's a great story. And why wouldn't you? Because the halftime show is spectacular. But the game flipped, and then all of a sudden, Skoranek, your man, comes on, and he's got the fumbles like they're trained, and all of a sudden the ball pops up. Yeah. Jesus, don't bring that one up. And all of a sudden he gets the fumbles, but that's what happens. He hasn't had a catch all year probably. Comes in, bang, slips, they get a pick, and the game just turns straight away. And that's why I love the game so much. Anything can happen. So I was...
He's Super Bowl champ though, Skoranek.
No, he's actually done some great things throughout the year, but it's just amazing at next man up.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that last drive is all about Kupp, and they still couldn't stop him.
So the Cincinnati, $60 million under the cap for next year. What do they need? Their offense is pretty...
Offensive line.
Yeah. So what they put...
They do what the Chiefs did last year. They just load him up. They need to protect Joe. They even said Joe likes to be hit and all that, but I don't think his knees and PCLs like to be hit. So he needs to get protection. And tell you what, you give Chase and Higgins 0.5 seconds to get a bit more separation. Oh, good luck.
That last play, Donald gets up and gets him. You could just tell that Yeah, Barrow, he had something, and something was going to happen if he just had that extra. It's what is it? It's a game of moments, game of inches, game of milliseconds. Just need an extra half a second to air one out. So, yeah, Chase took a while to get going. It was that.
Well, it had a big bomb early on Ramsey. That wasn't. He should have almost went to the house. Ramsey was grabbed him. But that's what I mean. The game was going up and down, up and down. And then once they started running at Cincinnati, I was filthy because I love the fireworks. And I said, we just want fireworks at the Ascot Vale Hotel. 5
or 6 pints by this stage at the Ascot Vale Hotel. You had that cause.
We had Cause Light on tab. But back to the Super Bowl. Anyone listening and I'd love to know, but we had. So let's just talk about the prop bets on Super Bowl, right? The main ones are heads and tails at the start of the game.
Oh, listen to the Pat McAfee show. He's gone 0 from 2 in the last 2 years.
Yes.
You know how much he's dropped on it?
I think he dropped 40,000 this year. Yeah. So he's gone.
Do you know what he said? He goes, next year. The way he speaks, I love it. He goes, they're going to get me next year. Who tossed the coin again? Billy J.
The old. Well, we called her the old girl because
she's not going to let me down. She's not going to let me down.
Well, while that happened, our mate's put a little bit of cash on Big Joshy Geimer out there. Give him a shout out. He's put some money on heads, and he's told the whole pub.
Yeah.
So we're filming and we've got content of it, and I think it's early, Mick. We're drinking beers at 9 a.m. You know, people are rolling in. They're not that up and about yet. Everyone's up and about, but this got the pub rocking. So just everyone's on heads. He's told everyone heads, and bang, and then
Pat was on tails. And
then Pat's video comes out afterwards, and everyone's like, "Look at this, polar opposites." He's gone tails, and you just see him collapse to the ground. Fucking hilarious. Yeah, and then there's a few other people that were getting on the halftime show and saying what the first song's going to be. But the Gatorade one as well, and I called it. I said blue would be the Gatorade because I thought the Rams would win, and I thought yellow might be yellow, but I said blue.
What about orange for Cincinnati?
Bengals, you'd think it'd be orange, so it's like orange or blue. But just funny little ones like that. It's a great day. It was. And one of our other mates, the two of the boys had Donald for MVP.
Yeah, he would have been.
For a good collect, and another one had Cup. And
it can't all be
Willie J. So he was pretty happy with Cup. So because I thought Stafford potentially. Normally the quarterbacks win it.
Two TDs. So if the
3 TDs, wasn't it? There's 3. No, it's 3. 3.
Yeah. So T. If Cincinnati win.
Oh, Cup had 2. Sorry, Stafford threw 3. Yeah.
If Cincinnati win, does T Higgins get the MVP, or is it?
Well, you'd think so off the back of what Cup received.
Yeah. The reason because it's usually just speaking of coin tosses, it's a flip of the coin for the quarterback. So
yeah. And the reason that it was interesting was because I guess that pick to Skoranek, it wasn't really Stafford's fault. Even though it goes down as 2 picks, I don't think that's... And I think there's another one to Jefferson where he's thrown a... You know, normally the wide receiver taps that.
They're so harsh on themselves. Like literally, be like, I just didn't put it in yet.
But that stat definitely... I reckon if he doesn't have the 2 picks...
He's got the 2 picks, right? And we're getting right towards the back end. The mental fortitude of that guy who's been on... I don't say this as if he's a loser, but he's lost for 12 years at Detroit. And that ability to go to the biggest moment, having thrown 2 picks, and to look there and throw there.
Oh, there's no look. Unbelievable.
Talk me through that one. And
Well, it's a play that they've done. I've seen it throughout the year. He's got Cup through the middle of the field. They all know he's going to Cup. If you see the guy that pops, just on a little slant there and just stops, draws him with the eyes, and if you watch the footage, it's like we talk about it.
We're doing this is getting overplayed in the unbelievable.
I don't think we can because of copyright, but anyone that's seen it would know because it's been all over the internet. But it's like football. You don't kick the ball where they are. You put it out in space and hopefully they run onto it. But it needs to be lace out 1 millimeter and behind you're going to drop it. It was a perfect no look pass. I think it was. It was 2nd and 8. Or it was like 3 minutes to go, and it set up the drive.
And people again, the one time or the sporadic watcher of NFL will be like, that's unbelievable. Like, is that luck? Dan Orlovsky, who's a great operator in the media, I think, great analyst.
Yeah, former QB.
Former QB, perennial backup there. He was a backup for Stafford.
Very intelligent,
Detroit. And he said, he's obviously a big Matt Stafford fan because that connection at Detroit, but he said, like, throws it as good as it. Like, Pat Mahomes has been doing it for the last few years and people have been like, wow, this is amazing. Dan Orlovsky said for 10 years Matt Stafford's been throwing them.
Yeah.
And no one's really noticed because he's out in the Motor City and no one really gives a fuck.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm so happy for him, because I think Joe's going to get plenty, and he's young. Matt's at the age where he's a bit older. Matthew, we should say, his wife was filthy with Tom Brady calling him Matt. Matt, have some water. Have you seen that yesterday? The other day, they're on the parade, and they're obviously all hammered. Yeah. And Brady's tweeted in, Matt, trust me, have some water or mix in some water, because last year when Brady was obviously carrying on, he couldn't. He was legless. So I think his wife replied, "It's Matthew."
Don't mind that. And again, another thing I became privy to yesterday. Matthew Stafford, big time Super Bowl champion. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame. He's a big deal. No social media. Apparently very introverted. Has just a small circle of friends. And that's it. So, love those little side plots. Like, we know that most of those players are big time and showtime. And again, the LA story. But Matthew Stafford getting it done in the biggest city in probably the world, nearly LA, in terms of glitz and glamour, when he's not a glitz and glamour guy. That's pretty cool.
I don't think the big stage really bothers him. Like, I've seen, and that's why I don't like the media being so negative, but they're all about, he's 0-3 his whole career. He's been playing in Detroit. Now he's 4-0. It's like,
there's a bit of circumstance around.
There's a bit of reason why you're 0-3, but the very happy for
on all of that.
Stafford.
And the rivalry between two teams. So you always think, you're watching this game, there's 2-week build-up, and you think these guys, like, Joey Burrow has a fair bit of swag to him, doesn't he? He's got a fair bit of...
Oh, Mick, have you seen the way he's rolling into the joint?
He's got a fair bit of swag, but what I really loved about some of the grabs out of the Super Bowl and at the back end, probably the best thing I'd seen across the NFL season was the grab of just some still shots of Joe Burrow with the audio on, and he's saying hello very genuinely to the opponent. Yeah. And he went up to Eric Waddle and said, "Oh, Eric, I'm Joe."
Weedle. Yeah.
Eric Waddle goes up to, "I'm Joe. Nice to meet you." And I'm like, now that is a great sign of humility. I've got some great stories of young athletes in the AFL circles that walk in when they're 18 and expect strappers, everyone to know them, and there's a bit of head wobble right from the dot. Yes, Joey B has a bit of swag about him, and the cigars and all that, but the humility, what resonated with me really strongly there, just introducing himself to Eric, and then, "Hey, Aaron."
Yeah. And
hey, Vaughn.
Yeah.
Good to see you. I'm Joe.
But you notice the respect as well. It's awesome. And the respect is no bullshit today from Eric. He's like, no bullshit. It's just out here, head to head, no talk, all action. He's a really good role model for anyone.
See Eric Weddle's injury?
Pec. Yeah, just a beast. Can we just talk about that right now? Because he's so old and he's come out of the game.
How old are we talking?
I think he's 36.
So how fit do you...
Well, this is a great question.
Because he's been out of the game 2 years.
2 years out of the game.
So I'd imagine 2 years out of the game. How long have you been out of the game?
A year and a half.
AFL's a bit different.
I'm old. I'm young though. I'm 28.
In AFL, you got to go out and run, and that would mean he would have had to stay very specifically ready for that moment, like weights, power exercises, all that. It's not like he would have been off legs for 2 years and been able to come back and do that. So that's quite remarkable.
It's ridiculous. I've had this chat. It's not a game. It's not like a game you can just play back pocket in our game, or cricket you can hit the ball for 6 and 12th man or sit in slips. No disrespect to people who do that. I'm just saying that you could probably hide yourself in slips in the field so you can get more runs. What I'm trying to say here is he's playing a position that requires you to be at a really high level to stop these players in the biggest stage. And now he's gone straight back to retirement.
Did he...
He's done. He's like, I'm done.
Did he... again, you'd be more privy to the information around this. Did he, with that injury, more went out there and set up, and the importance of him just being out there as a leader and a coordinator on field was as significant as anything? Which even to that point, being back 5 weeks, like the skill set to be able to go. I'd imagine from that one game, he should go straight into coaching and be one of the 35 coaches at the Jacksonville Jags.
One of the 35, yeah. The Jacksonville Jags need something. It's the experience. I think he speaks about how he set up the coverages. Aaron and the boys, Von, you get the pressure. We'll have the coverage. Therefore, we'll buy you more time with our coverages and our organisation. And I love the way they break it down. And that wise head out and back. That's another bit of the Rams' resilience in their story. They've just lost a lot of troops along the way. But yeah, all in all, the Super Bowl for me was epic. The year was awesome. I think Chase is going to be one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, and I'm looking forward to watching them. I've got a soft spot for the Bengals now a little bit. I've got no hate towards, not that I've got to hate anyone, but I've got a lot of love to watching them. I love the way they play. Let's hope that Joe Burrow gets some protection, because
I've got a hard-hitting question for you. What did you make of Matt Orzech and Clark Harris, their games in the Super Bowl?
Can you say that again?
Matt Orzech.
Can you ask me a better question?
How'd they play?
I don't.
Orzech and Clark Harris.
I haven't heard of. I haven't heard of those names. And
long snappers.
There you go. Fucking rattled me then.
Mate, you got to. Hey, it's down to the
I've no disrespect, but Mick, I'm watching the big dogs.
Mate, you go home. What do I do?
I'm at the Ascot Vale Hotel. I'm 10 deep by lunchtime, and you expect me to be watching the long snappers?
You know, I was watching a documentary, not a documentary, a little YouTube grab. I got caught talking about long snappers the other day. And what it becomes to become a long snapper, because these guys they've got to be on their game as well.
Oh, 100%.
Evan McPherson, who I'm adamant it's Evan McPherson.
Yeah, you're telling the story.
Americans they say McPherson, McPherson. Anyway, Evan, who's perfect in the bloody postseason, he's this big hot shot. He still needs.
Oh, you're talking about punter?
No, the long snapper.
Sorry,
So long snapper, punter holds, Evan bang.
Yeah.
So Evan is a great kicker, but the long snapper and the holder, they play their role. Everyone's got to play their role.
Yeah, we know that. We know that. And
sometimes that's lost.
It is lost, actually.
And the great art, someone once told me, the 5-minute YouTube clip I watched on long snapping the other day, you need to essentially position your butt so you're going to fart. you fart at the punter. And
direct line.
So wherever your butt's pointing, bang, there's a bit of long snapping.
There you go. That's
information. If you ever want to go out there and long snap and hold.
You and the Werribee boys can practice that one.
Did a bit on Monday. Yeah, Monday night we trained. You would have been probably 7 or 8 to 10 to 12 to 15 pints deep by the time we got out there.
5:30 I wrapped up. I actually had a big day the next day. But
mate, you're a man of
changed me.
So many talents. But all in all, a good Super Bowl next year. The old rags to riches story, Cincinnati. Just leaves us dreaming, doesn't it? Who could pop up next year?
Well, I'll ask you and you can ask me. Who do you think?
Well, with the Bengals with 60 mil in cap space, which I'm always dumbfounded by this cap space situation, because teams are somehow 150 million over the cap space, and then they end up somehow trimming the 150 still being.
Well, they're not guaranteed contracts, so just cut them.
Look, I would suggest. They're hard to get back to. They're hard to get to. But Cincinnati, in terms of if they can tidy up their protection of Joe Burrow, they've got a huge amount of offensive weapons to get it done. But they are in that division against the Kansas City Chiefs and all of that. So can't forget the Patty Mahomes. I thought having him in fantasy this year was a real roller coaster.
It was.
It make or break. See, like Derrick Henry goes down early. Pat Mahomes end up trading him for Stafford for Matthew. And gee whiz, I copped a bit of grief in the WhatsApp chat about that. But I would suggest that Pat Mahomes at his best and the Kansas City Chiefs at their best are better than the Bengals. So I would say Kansas go back, and you just got to stick with the hot hand in the Rams.
I think you're forgetting the Bills.
No, I'm not.
I just think I thought the Bills.
Four Falls of that is one of the great docos. Have you watched that one, Trone?
No, I haven't. But let's just stick on top. Let's just stay. Yes.
You go home and you enjoy. Pop open a Coors. Are we sponsored by Coors?
No, we're not sponsored by any alcohol beverage partner.
Insert sponsored beer's name there, and watch. That is the best doco of all time.
Well, send me that, because I love docos and I still need to watch a few, because I need to catch up on a few.
I'll send you the YouTube of the
I haven't even watched the Brady.
Well.
Yeah, the long snap. I love that stuff. We're mates with a lot of the punters, and there's a lot of them in Australia, a lot in America that are Australians that are coming through the ranks, and they're actually making a huge impact, and I love it. So there's no disrespect to the long snappers and the punters. Benny tells.
I get so defensive, mate.
No. I was a bit shocked I didn't know their name. I thought you were trying to stump me. We've got 50. We've got OBJ, Cup, and Higgins and Chase, and you're asking me about the long snappers.
Orzech, I hope I pronounced your name right there, Matthew. Matt Orzech or Matt?
We haven't even spoken about Ramsey and his performance. But anyway, my prediction, I got no idea. But the Bills, I thought, was their year this year, and what happened in overtime, we all know. So they'll be right up there next year. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is doing. I think he'll stay if they throw the kitchen sink. But again, again, they've got probably, they haven't got long left there. So if he stays and so is Devontae, then that can happen.
Your Ravens?
And then you got the Ravens, but I think Hollywood Brown's just gone out and done the Kyler Murray the other day and said that he's unfollowed and deleted his photos. So someone saw that one. But I think there's rumours that AB might go to the Ravens. So if Antonio Brown goes to the Ravens, mate, we'll win the Super Bowl.
Outstanding.
But yeah, all in all, the Super Bowl was epic. The halftime entertainment was just, can you imagine 50 Cent just hanging upside down? How long does he hang upside down until his roll is?
It's remarkable how he wasn't lip syncing that.
I know. But yeah, the Super Bowl in LA was incredible. I've got big plans to hopefully go to Arizona next year with a few boys. But Vegas, we've said in our WhatsApp group with all the old boys, the Freo boys, they're all talk, these blokes. Zach Dawson. He's all talk, Dawson. You can't even get him for a beer at Sereno Hotel on a Friday. He's too busy and he thinks he's going to the Super Bowl in Vegas. We'll see if Sheena allows that one. But mate,
will probably attend.
Yeah, she would. But yeah, mate, I'm pretty pumped with the year. The Super Bowl was awesome, and I'm just wishing OBJ the best recovery because I need my man back out there.
Yeah, perfect. So Chiefs, Rams. That's the early prediction for me, and you've gone with Bills.
And I think the Rams will be back there. The Rams are going to run it back. Have you seen the mail?
Bills, Rams running it back. No, I haven't.
Well, there was rumours before the game that Donald and Coach McVay, this is their last year if they win it. And then I just saw today that they're running it back.
They're running it back. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Shawnee McVay back.
They're running it back, mate.
Round 1 VFL season in the coach box. I'm going to channel my inner Sean McVay and strike it at the front, mate.
Now, Michael, you don't come on the show without, receiving...
Well, anything I usually do with you, I leave empty-handed. So.
Yes, exactly. So, Mick, I know you've had a haircut, but I know you love to wear a hat.
Oh, beautiful.
You don't go for the Raiders, but our boys, our lads here at Cap Z have looked after us.
I just get to choose one of?
You get to choose any... Let's just put them out there, but that's their Cap Z. I should say Caps, but it's spelt with a Z. They have the best caps, sports stuff in the world. They've got every sport covered. And if anyone out there does want to shop at Caps online, obviously drop ACES at checkout. You get a 20% off and free express shipping. Same for Rixie's, mate. There's some freshies there for you.
No.
You need to be looking sharp, look good, feel good, and coach good. New saying there. But thank you for joining us on Tommy Talk Super Bowl recap.
Thanks for having me, mate. And Dom Tyson's got your 11 o'clock waiting.
I can see Dom running around the commons there, mate. He's got Straussy on the phone. We'll attend that one in a second. dropping names everywhere here. But thanks again, mate. Thanks for coming on. And
we didn't even get to OBJ and the bloody.
Well, you asking me about long snappers.
What happened? Your head was in the way of my best note about OBJ and the Cleveland Browns, how Baker Mayfield would be. Hey, just ponder on that, and we'll think about that and come back to you start of next season about how the Browns are thinking and where Baker Mayfield is. Where will he be?
He's going to have shoulder surgery, and he's going to come back and respond.
Oh, you reckon? I don't know. I think
he's got one more year. But on that, we'll be back. We're going to talk more NFL. It's not done. It's a Super Bowl recap. We will recap the year. There'll be plenty of guests. We've got more shows coming. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show. Subscribe, leave a review. A kind one will do, Mick. And we'll see you next time.